Let's start off with locks. We want to start people off with wins. So what is your lock for game week 10?
Yeah, I went a couple different ways with this. Some interesting matchups here. Typically love to look at like a City, Arsenal, and if any of the other top teams are playing well, I love to kind of narrow in on those, especially if they're at home. For this, I'm kind of doing the same thing. Arsenal hosting Burnley at home, big time favorites. Burnley have been, they've been okay, but they're kind of the big issue for them is when they go away, they just ship goals. They have conceded 15 goals in 5 away matches. They have 1 win and 4 losses. Meanwhile, Arsenal have been very good away from home. They have 1 draw, 4 wins, and 12 points, and conceded just 1 goal. So they've been very, very impressive. What I'm thinking here is Burnley continue to be a little bit of a leaky defense, and maybe a bbit of a stretch, but I kind of like it as a lock. Over 2.5 goals for Arsenal is plus 130, which you would think you'd maybe get a little bit better odds, closer to plus 150 on over 3 goals, but Burnley have just been that poor. And otherwise, if you want something that is related to but doesn't require 3 goals, you can go Arsenal minus 1.5. It is minus 125, so the odds are not great, but still viable. So I like the Arsenal over 2.5 for plus 130 as my lock of the week. But one other thing that I want to note, and in the same vein of teams that have conceded a lot of goals away from home, Wolverhampton, they've also conceded a ton of goals away from home. They will be facing a Fulham side who has kind of been struggling, but Fulham's over 1.5 is plus 105. So if they score 2 goals, that one hits. Wolves just both Burnley and Wolves have been very bad defensively away from home. So that's kind of where I'm in the same vein on those bets. What do you think?
Yeah, we're in the same vein here. So when I looked at the odds, I sent to you some interesting odds this week. There's been previous game weeks where we've done this, where you look at the odds and it's like, well, there's a lot of stuff I don't really like. The odds, nothing really stands out. There's a lot of things I like this week. I don't know if maybe that means we're wrong. Maybe if we're looking at these teams wrong, but look at some of this stuff and a lot of stuff comes out. One of the ones, it's not going to be my official value play, but I did write down Fulham over 2.5 goals. That one's plus 330. So what you just mentioned with Fulham, one worry, because I'm not going to give that one fully out because Raul Jimenez, he played Tuesday, re-injured his hip, basically the injury he previously had. So there's a chance Fulham come into this game without a true number 9. They've struggled without a true number 9 this season a couple times already. So I'm kind of worried about that one. But what I was mentioning here when I first looked at the slate, there's like 3 home teams, 3 home money lines here. Yeah. When I first looked at the odds, we also have a pretty busy Saturday. We got the 5 early matches, and then there's 2 standalone games, which I think are pretty interesting. Spurs home against Chelsea, Liverpool home against Aston Villa. But we have looking at the odds here. So running down, Brighton are minus 115 at home against Leeds. Like Brighton here, home, coming off a loss, need a win. Leeds have been solid this season, but away is a little different. And Fulham are minus 115. We just talk about Fulham. If we're going to bet on Fulham goals, they're home against Wolves. Why not, safer bet? Minus 115 for Fulham at home at Craven Cottage here against Wolverhampton, who had a really weird game against Chelsea on Wednesday in the Carabao Cup. And then my pick here is what I'm going to go with. Crystal Palace are home against Brentford. Crystal Palace minus 105 to beat Brentford. They are at home. There are a couple worries for this. Okay, Brentford have been playing well. They got the Liverpool win. They got another big win midweek. Okay, that was against Grimsby Town. And then I pulled up the recent head-to-heads, and Crystal Palace don't really have many wins against Brentford at all in the team's history with each other, which is another worry here. But I still like, okay, Crystal Palace coming off the win against Liverpool midweek. Brentford just beat Liverpool in the league over the weekend. A lot of teams just beating Liverpool, just kind of getting me confused. Sorry, Chris.
They're all beating Liverpool at this point. So a couple get right, it's a get right game for both of them.
We might talk about that later. But Crystal Palace at home, fairly healthy. Nketiah picked up an injury, but outside of him, fairly healthy. At home, a good spot for 3 points. I think in prior seasons with Thomas Frank, this Brentford team has been like, okay, in big spots, in games at home, it's like we want to bet on Brentford, but the team is kind of inconsistent, and I think this is going to be one of those games where they kind of let their foot off the gas a little bit. Yarmolayak, a 21-year-old defensive midfielder, We haven't gotten an injury update yet. He might be out for this one. He's been a pretty key in their midfield this season. Just throw it in there. I know they're playing well, but I just can't get past Crystal Palace at home. They've been really solid attacking this season, even without Eze, just a little different look from them. Everyone's healthy. Adam Wharton, importantly, is healthy in the midfield. Their back line's mostly healthy, depending on Chris Richards' calf injury. But minus 105, I just think the odds are too good here for Crystal Palace. I think they're a better team. They're at home, and we're getting good odds. So do you believe in Crystal Palace here?
I do at home for sure. Sellers Park's going to be rocking. And they looked very, I mean, despite who they played on Wednesday, they looked really, really good. And I just think that, I mean, it is tough because both these teams have come off some pretty big wins recently. And so I think Palace just have it like, starting 11, honestly, just a little bit better than Brentford's. It's kind of like the Glasner versus Andrews, like who can have a better setup. I'm interested to see how both teams come out. Palace will probably sit back a bit more. Let's see, but minus 105 is pretty solid odds for Palace at home.
What are some of the best values? We talked about there's good value here for home teams, my near even odds, but let's turn it up a notch here. Get some more value for this slate. What do we got?
I mean, initially, first looking at the 10 games, you see a ton of like minus 115s or plus 110s, and then the underdog being like right around plus 300. And so you think like, can I sneak away with one of those plus 300s? I'm kind of leaning away from that. Unfortunately, it's been a couple tough weeks as a Liverpool fan for me. I think they've looked like crap in pretty much every game. They just got smoked 3-0 in the League Cup against Palace, as you mentioned. Villa have rebounded nicely from the beginning of the season. They struggled to begin, but I think every part of this Liverpool side, they just like don't look compact. They look vulnerable at pretty much every opportunity. This is my value bet is Aston Villa over 1.5 goals at plus 180. I like this number high enough to kind of be my value play here. Also, the other part of that is you're missing kind of like a pretty big part of the spine of Liverpool's spine, which is, Alisson in goal. Gravenberch might play, might not play. And then there's just other question marks there too, just generally about how Slot is setting them up. So I think it's not out of the realm of possibilities for Villa to go in there and score 2 goals and for this to be a really interesting game. It's the latest kickoff of Saturday, as you mentioned, 5 early games. And then we've got a Chelsea Tottenham and then this little, like, I guess late dessert. It's like an aperitif to end the day. Was that aperitif? Yeah, I think it. I'm honestly, my post dinner drinks are not great, but
yeah, this is like a port wine maybe.
Yeah, so this game is pretty interesting. We get 2 really good matchups post the earliest slate, and so good day to sit on the couch and watch.
Chris is down bad when he's betting against Liverpool. Liverpool were minus 200 a week ago. Now they're minus 165.
I'm not betting against them. I'm just betting on them to concede goals. I didn't say money line or or double chance or draw or anything like that. I'm just saying that there may be a couple Aston Villa goals.
I apologize.
Yes. Watch what you're saying.
I'm getting back to the Arsenal one. Chris, earlier in our different lock segment, he took Arsenal over on goals. I'm looking at corners because Burnley like to play a low block. And they're probably going to play a low block here. They're going to sit back. There's kind of no questions about how this game's going to go. We saw a Burnley game against Liverpool earlier this season. Liverpool kind of left it late to get that goal. And then Burnley, the Manchester City game, I think that one ended up 5-1. But Liverpool had 13 corners in that game. Manchester City had 10 corners in their game. As long as this isn't going to be Arsenal are scoring 3 goals in the first half, I'm going to take Arsenal race to 10 corners. I found this one on FanDuel. Race to 10 corners is plus 310 odds. You can go a bunch of different ways betting corners in this match because Burnley probably aren't going to get many. They're probably not going to touch the ball many times. But Burnley are going to sit back. There's going to be a lot of corners. There's going to be a lot of set pieces. Set piece FC Arsenal right here. This could be okay. Maybe Arsenal kind of struggle a little bit to get that opening goal. We could see, I was going to say 20 corners, but that's probably too many. But I think you can just like keep going up on corners in this game. And plus 310 odds. I really like this one, given that it's an extremely high number for corners. But I think the low block of Burnley is going to lead to some struggles here for Arsenal.
I think we're at odds here just because, I guess they could still just pile it up here with 3 goals and 10 corners.
Odds, come on. You don't agree with me? Get off the show. Get out of here.
I guess they could both happen together, but I think it's either one or the other, right?
Well, I still think like there's a chance it could happen together. Okay, goal first half, a couple more. Like Man City still had 10. Like Man City haven't been a really corner heavy team this season, but they still had 10 in the game against Burnley, and I think a lot of those, yeah, they still had 5 in the second half. Yeah, Man City, that was okay. I guess it was 1-1 after the first at half, and then they scored 4 in the second half. They got 2 really late ones. Yeah, I still think like it's possible that we could see, Arsenal 3 goals and a ton of corners. I still think it's in range as long as it's not like, okay, Arsenal got 2 goals from open play in the first 20 minutes, I guess.